What's going on, y'all? Machiavelli Mills TV. So look, y'all, by now you have already seen or heard about the situation that occurred between Eddie Robinson Jr., head coach of the Alabama State University football team, and Deion Sanders, head coach of Jackson State University football team, right? I've discussed the ins and outs of the situation, who was wrong, and so on and so forth in the previous video. So now it's time to discuss the aftermath between the alums of HBCUs after the situation. Like, I'm watching Eddie Robinson Jr. and Deion Sanders situation turn into an elitist conversation between alums at different HBCUs. Is leading to this elitist attitude, from one HBCU to the next one, right? I'm seeing people, alums of different HBCUs, belittle other HBCUs and talk about them like they are the scum at the bottom of their shoe, right? They in there talking about saying stuff like that piss po school, y'all ain't got no money, y'all that po band y'all ain't got no money for y'all band, y'all ain't got this, y'all ain't got that. Your stadium is this and your stadium trash, your school trash, them buildings is falling apart on your campus this, that, and the third, and that rundown school, old raggedy school, raggedy stadium, raggedy, all type of crazy talk, right? And it's almost sounding like when I hear people talking down on other HBCUs, when I hear HBCU alums talking down on other HBCUs, it sounds like the higher ups, how the higher ups at PWIs talk about HBCUs in general, right? The higher ups at PWIs talk about HBCUs, and even other alums of PWIs or football fans or basketball fans of PWIs. They look at the resources that HBCUs have and they look at it with disgust. I'm an HBCU alum, Mississippi Valley State University, proud alum of that school. I love MVSU, love Mississippi Valley State University and what it did for me as a young man coming from the south side of Chicago, Illinois, going to Itabena, Mississippi in the Mississippi Delta to get my education from the academic oasis of the Mississippi Delta, right? Proud of it. But I saw how people talked with disgust about not only my school, but other HBCUs around the country. How they run down, how they raggedy, how they have nowhere near the type of stuff that the PWIs have, how, they are nowhere in comparison to how great an elite the PWIs are, and how they don't have this, how they don't have that, how they don't have this facility, how they don't have that type of facility, how they don't have this, that, and the third, and they degrade the HBCUs and talk about them with, absolute disdain. I've seen it. I've seen people trash HBCU fields and stadiums at PWI alums, PWI football fans, and PWI basketball fans. I've seen them trash HBCUs. And now I'm seeing HBCU alums do the same damn thing that the PWI alums, that the non-black PWI alums do to our schools, right? I'm watching HBCU alums do the same thing that the higher ups at the PWIs do when they talk about HBCUs. And it's disgusting. Like, for real, like, this is what we're going to do. Like, I want y'all to know. You can talk down on other HBCUs all you want. And I'm not talking about Jackson State alums just doing it. I'm talking about Alabama State alums and other alums at all the other schools, too. All other HBCUs. I'm talking about all of us in general. This whole situation between Eddie Robinson Jr. and Deion Sanders has led to an elitist conversation between alums of different schools. Not even just those two schools. Not even just alums of Alabama State and Jackson State. You got Alcorn getting in it. You got my school, Mississippi Valley, getting in it. You got Southern people getting in it. Like, it's all different other HBCUs getting all into it with each other when they don't recognize that the PWIs look at us as all the same. They look at us like we ain't nothing, right? So we need to be building each other up instead of tearing each other down with these conversations we having. And I get it, it's all cool, back and forth banter and competitive talk, that's cool. But when you start trashing the institution and what they don't have and how they don't got this, calling them piss poor, how they don't got this and how they don't got that, and how they raggedy and how they run down, brother, your school was 2 Reese Pieces away from being in the same situation. So yeah, you might have a little bit more resources, but shit, you ain't got nearly enough compared to the PWIs will look at your school and talk the same way you talking about the next school. They'll look at your school and say your school ain't nothing. Your school is a raisin and a big bowl of fruit. They would talk about how your school is just a decimal of nothing. You know, and now you creating the same type of conversations across different HBCUs. Come on now. We supposed to be uplifting each other. We know like how far behind we are compared to the resources that these PWIs get and these endowments they get, and how they have these established alumni full of nothing but millionaires and some billionaires that just give back money on top of money to the schools. We don't have that at a lot of our HBCUs, right? Some of the HBCUs have them, right? The bigger, higher known ones like Howard and Hampton and Morehouse and so on and so forth. But I mean, not even so on and so forth. Those 3 or 4 schools that have those big, huge alumni bases that, you know, have produced a lot of actors and actresses, and, you know, the schools that are so popular that all celebrities only donate to those HBCUs all the time. Those schools may have some of those things, but outside of those, we don't have that. And even Howard and Hampton don't have the resources that a Florida State has, or a Georgetown has, or Ohio State has. They don't have those same type of resources at all. It's pales in comparison. It's peanuts. Peanuts compared to watermelons. Peanuts compared to damn trying to think of another humongous fruit. But yeah, it's peanuts compared to watermelons when it comes to these schools, the HBCUs and the PWIs. Excuse me. So to see HBCU alums talking down on other HBCUs like they nothing, and talking about them like they just the most disgusting thing. It's like, bro, what are y'all doing? This is those are counterproductive conversations. Conversations that will continue to set us back, that will continue to have us looking like the fool, looking like we are just absolutely bottom of the totem pole to them other PWIs. They all look at us like that across the board. Whether your school got a little bit more than the next or a lot bit more than the next, you still ain't got nothing compared to those other PWIs. So don't act like you went to Harvard, or you went to don't act like your school is just so much, because I hate it. We have these I've seen too much elitism across, you know, at different HBCUs, and how other graduates of HBCUs talk and look down on other schools, right? I went to Mississippi Valley State, right? My school is the underdog in the state of Mississippi, the youngest institution in the SWAC, 1950. My father is 5 years younger than my school. Just to put it in perspective, we don't have nearly the same amount of resources that the other schools have. It was placed in a desolate area, right? And Mississippi Valley has grown tremendously from the time, of course, before I got there. From the time I first got there, it's grown. And since I left, it's grown tremendously. A whole lot of improvements. Valley looking good. Looking really good. And it's continued to build and build and build and get all type of more resources in there. And shout out to the president, Dr. Gerald Briggs. Shout out to Dr. Briggs and his efforts and the alumni's efforts. I need to do more for sure. Whatever I can. But I came from a school that was looked at as the stepchild in Mississippi, and how people would talk down on our school, yet we all in the state of Mississippi, the poorest state in America, right? All the HBCU, we don't like, yeah, some HBCUs have more than the next. But listen, when they look at the state of Mississippi, they all looking, if you ain't at Ole Miss or Mississippi State, they still looking down on us regardless of what we at. If you ain't at Southern Miss or Ole Miss or Mississippi State, all them HBCUs, they looked at it with disdain. You know? All that elitist talk, and we got, like, situations are affecting other schools in the same way. Jackson didn't even have running water, right? You have people talking down on Mississippi Valley like we ain't nothing, and we just, wow, this trash school, this trash, and this, all this and all that. Brother, we all like, well, come on, fam. We all still within the poorest state in America. A lot of y'all people talking down on Valley, they come from the Mississippi Delta. Again, one of the poorest regions in the United States of America. So resources can be better all around. All around, man. It's just, it boggled my mind, and it irked me so bad that it was an elitist type of attitude amongst even other HBCUs in Mississippi in comparison to Valley. I'm looking like we don't get the same type of resources. We're not located in the state capital. We don't have the same established alumni base because we're so young of an institution, although we can have alumni to donate more, but we don't get the same type of funding at all. It's not even close. And, people was down talking Valley and talking about them like they was nothing, talking about us like we are just like a blip on the radar, not even a blip on the radar, like we not even there, like we don't exist. And I had a problem with it because me coming from Chicago, Illinois, I've seen, and again, this is a city that has a lot of corruption, and this is a city that has a lot of certain problems with as far as like gang violence, so on and so forth. But I came from an area that's still the third largest city in America, so I recognize what a place that has a whole lot of resources looks like compared to others. And I'm like, we all in the same fight together. We all are in the same fight. We all trying to get these HBCUs buzzing. We all trying to get and make these improvements at the school. Come on, y'all. We can't do this. For real, I'm a Chicago native, but Mississippi Valley State, that's my home. That's my home. Them people down there in the Mississippi Delta love me and embrace me with open arms when I came down there, right? I'm a proud alumni of that school. I'm a proud HBCU graduate. We ain't got no business talking about the next school. This school don't got the business talking about the next school, talking about what they ain't got and how they ain't nothing and how they piss poor and how they ain't got this and how they ain't got that and all this. Yeah, y'all know we ain't got resources. Y'all know the struggle. Y'all know the fight to be at the HBCUs. Y'all know sometimes the struggle to keep certain HBCUs open. Y'all seen what happened. Certain schools, HBCUs losing accreditation, so on and so forth. Morris Brown just came back and got their accreditation back. I'm so proud of the lady for Morris Brown. I'm so proud of the lady for them. They lost their accreditation for years, for over a decade. And it's coming back, and it makes me proud because I know the fight that these schools go through. Certain schools need money, Cheney University, so on and so forth. These schools need money trying to stay open. They fight, and they educate a lot of the poor and disenfranchised black folks in the neighborhood. My school, Mississippi Valley, educates the poor and disenfranchised black folks in the Mississippi Delta. It educates poor and disenfranchised kids from not only the Mississippi Delta, from Chicago, Illinois, from Memphis, Tennessee, from Omaha, Nebraska, from Detroit, Michigan. They educate kids from what other regions they had from Mississippi Valley, from California, so on and so forth. We had kids from everywhere. This school is open to educate us black kids and help us reach to help us reach heights. I'm sorry, I'm stuttering. To help us reach heights that our ancestors could only dream of us reaching. So to come and try to belittle other HBCUs and try to create this elitist conversation, that shit, I'm not with it. I'm never going to be with it, and I'm never going to stand for it. Y'all got to come up with something better to do. I know this situation with A. Robinson Jr. and Deion Sanders has got people on edge, and people got people riled up, and got people displaying school pride. There's nothing wrong with school pride. There's nothing wrong with saying, I'm going to beat your school, we going to whoop y'all. That's cool, that's cool, that's fine. But to start talking about the institution's lack of resources, to talking about how they raggedy, to start talking about how, they ain't got no money for this, and how their school is just trash, and how their whole facility is this, that, and the third, and they ain't got this, and they ain't got that, that's low. That's a low. That's when it becomes some real low vibrational conversation type stuff, and I got to exit the group when it gets to talking like that. Because I came from a school that was underserved and didn't have the resources that were necessary for us to try to compete with other schools and so on and so forth, right? And I watched Valley fight for it to get this and get that, right? So I can never be talking about another school that got less than Valley got. I can never be talking because I know the fight. I understand the plight of these different institutions, HBCUs, to stay open. If you ain't Howard, if you ain't Hampton, if you ain't Morehouse, if you ain't Spelman, if you ain't Clark Atlanta, I seen the struggle for the HBCUs to stay open, to get certain things that they need, to get certain resources for kids, and they still come up with a way to. A lot of times, some of them come up with a way to do it, and try to keep these doors over the school open to educate us black kids. So I ain't doing that, man. I ain't engaging in that conversation. That's trash. Keep that situation between Eddie Robinson Jr. and Deion Sanders, between them men, they going to hash that out, and it's going to come out however it come out. But all that other stuff, the histrionics between HBCU alums and down talking to other HBCUs and, talking about them like they, piss beneath the carpet. Bro. I ain't having it. That ain't cool. Find something better to do, y'all. Machiavelli Mills TV, I'm out. Peace.